want to roll on the ships on fire table here, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's see if my luck can go even better. Let's see, where is the ship on fire?
If you have the physical card, it's on the back of the player aid card.
And the Vassal Modulus under damage and ships on fire.
Oh, that wacky divider again. Okay, there it is. Alright, here we go. Take one hull hit.
Alright, a chance for the fire to spread.
Alright, so on a 7 or more, here we go.
So yeah, with that subsequent roll, when you have those results with the asterisk, the fire can only spread if you read it there. It tells you it's only spreading to ships that are fouled or grappled. But even if you don't have any ships that are fouled or grappled, you still want to make that roll, because if you read on, you see that regardless of that, there's a chance that the ship can explode. So if that subsequent roll is a 9, then the ship would explode outright, which would just be awesome. But sadly, you rolled a 6. And obviously an exploding ship is just immediately removed from the game and you score points, so that's a good thing. Yes, you can. As we were saying, you can move right on through another ship. You just can't end your move overlapping another ship's hex. With some of the other naval Age of Sail games, you end up having a lot of collisions and having ships fouled. That's another thing that rarely happens in Flying Colors. The only way that ships can ever collide here is if your move, you have absolutely no option, by using any combination of turning or backing sails, if there's no way that you can possibly avoid overlapping another ship at the end of your move. If that's the case, then you collide, and then your ships are going to be stuck together until you can get them unstuck. But that's, geez, I don't know, in 5 or 6 years of playing this now, I think I've had maybe one collision in all that time. It's very rare that there wouldn't be some way that you could either back sails or turn that you could avoid it. So it doesn't usually happen.
And when would you actually attempt to do grappling and evasion? I mean, is that part of your turn?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so just we were talking about melee and all. So the way to board another ship is to try and capture it at the end of a turn is you would have to be either fouled or grappled with another ship. And to be fouled, that's what happens when you collide, if you do have a collision. The other way, the much more common way, is to grapple another ship. In order to grapple a ship, the ship first of all has to be motionless. Usually the way you achieve that is by dismasting it first. So probably what I'm thinking, what I would be trying to do here is if I could get those 4 more rigging hits on Conquerant and make him dismasted, I might try and move some other ships up there to try and board him then. Once a ship is motionless, when you move adjacent to him, if one of your ships is adjacent to him at any point in your move, doesn't have to be the end, just can be any time during the move, there's a grappling table. You just roll on that, and if you succeed, you're grappled. There's also an evasion table, though. You actually have to pass 2 die rolls in order for this to happen, so it's another thing that can be tricky to pull off. You have to succeed in the grappling, and then he has to fail in his evasion attempt to avoid being grappled. But if both of those things happen, you stick a grappled marker out there between the 2 ships, and those 2 ships are now tied together, and will be until something happens to change that. And if that's the case, at the end of the turn, after all the moving and firing is done, there's a part in the sequence where you do melee combat, where that's boarding, basically. And if that happens, what you do is you look on the ship counters and you see the M number that's down there in the lower left-hand corner of each counter. That's the marine value. And you add up those numbers. And I think that's how many dice you roll. So Conquerant would get to roll 4 dice. Europe would get to roll 3 if those two were grappled together. And you just total up how many dice you roll, and whoever's got the higher total wins. I think the defender wins the ties, so as the attacker, you gotta roll higher than him in order to successfully board him. And so if the attacker wins, they capture the ship, and captured ships are worth double their victory point value, so you can really score a lot of points by doing that. If you do it, you've got to be able to protect it, though, because the other side can recapture its own captured ships. So if he could get some other French ships up there to help out and board the Conquerant and recapture it, it would go right back to his ownership, and then I wouldn't be getting any points from it. But because it's like dismasting is obviously something that takes a little while, and the only other way to be is somewhere. So there's no land to play here, but if there was, that's another way you could be motionless.
Well, I'm all for. I'm sorry.